What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and I've got some USS Constellation gameplay provided by Quincy71. Thank you, Quincy, for sending this over. This was his very first round in the Constellation, and he felt it was good enough to send my way. And since I haven't really showcased this ship yet, I figured I would. This is a Tier 8 United States Navy premium battleship. It looks very Colorado-esque with its main guns. You got that dual turret format right there. The camouflage on this ship, for those of you familiar with the USS Constellation, or at least the museum ship located in Baltimore, this is very much how she looks. And the USS Constellation kind of had an interesting history, the real one, and not the aircraft carrier either, the Kitty Hawk class. The USS Constellation was a sloop, and it was the last sail ship that was ever produced by the U.S. Navy for actual warfare. It was created in the 1850s, and it had a very, very short history to it. It did do some stuff in the Civil War. It protected against Confederate ships. It also did some anti-slavery patrols as well with Africa. So it had a short but unique life, and this camouflage is very reminiscent of the actual USS Constellation that you can still visit today in Baltimore if you live in that area. It's actually a pretty neat ship to go visit, and if you're in the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, there's a lot of stuff to do as well. You've got a submarine over in that area as well, World War II submarine. You've also got the aquarium, so you can make a fun day of it, but definitely a ship worth visiting, a very historic. And it was actually decommissioned a couple times, recommissioned in the 1900s before finally being decommissioned and struck for good and turned into a museum ship. The Navy actually stopped. Ooh, and there's a nice little shot right there. 2 citadels on that Yoshino. The Navy actually stopped training its sailors finally on how to rig sails in the 1920s. So that pretty much was the last nail in the coffin for the real USS Constellation. This, however, is a what could have been ship. It's what might have been if the Saratoga-class battle cruisers were actually created instead of being struck due to the naval treaty. 2 of them were turned into Saratoga-class aircraft carriers. They were originally supposed to be these battle cruisers, these fast, lightly armored battleships. As it is in the game, it's Tier 8, and you can see right now it's a fast ship. It's actually the second fastest battleship at Tier 8, which I think might be a good selling point for a lot of players that like that fast pocket-type battleship. As I stated already, you've got 8 guns on this thing. Very similar to Colorado in the way the guns are laid out in those dual turrets. 30-second reload, so not horrible there. Again, though, I just want to touch on that speed. The ship can get up to 34 knots right now. Wow, look at that. Just very, very fast. So those of you that like flanking out there, I think are going to enjoy this ship a lot. The guns are fairly strong. I mean, for those of you that have played Colorado, it's similar. So if you hit something, you're going to reach out and touch it, which is always nice. Firing range is 17.2 kilometers, so a little on the short side right there. Maybe not everybody's cup of tea, and the guns do fire slow, 768 meters per second. So they're a little lofty, Secondaries, this isn't a secondary ship. I mean, they're there as a last defense, and you know what? They're not going to do much. Definitely not a secondary ship. Now, a cool thing to know about this ship is you do have torpedoes on them. You've got 2 launchers that fire 3 torpedoes on each side, maximum speed of 55 knots, and just a shade over 9 kilometers. So really, again, sea mines. If you like the Sims, you'll like these torpedoes. I don't think anyone likes the Sims though, or at least the torpedoes on the Sims. So just keep that in mind with this ship. More up close if you're in panic mode, but you do have them, and they are an extra offensive capability, which is rather nice. So what's to like about this ship? What's not to like? Again, maximum speed of 33.25 knots. That's without Sierra mics. That is definitely something to like if you like fast pocket cruiser, battle cruiser type ships. And this is pretty much what this ship would have been designed to do if it had been made and not converted and canceled due to the naval treaties. Turning circle radius is 830 meters, rudder shift time 15.3 seconds, and a concealment of 15 kilometers base, 15 and a half. So if you like flanking, this might be the ship for you. Flanking with big guns. It has a somewhat Georgia-esque feel to it, just because of its speed. Though I would not compare it to the Georgia. The armor on this ship, it's a little on the weak side. So, you know, you got to keep that in mind as you push up. And when you're bottom tiered in this ship, it can be a little tough. It can be a little rough. So you really got to play smart. You got to use that speed to your advantage. You got to use terrain and movement to your advantage. But for the player who likes speed and likes decent guns, this ship might be your ship. I mean, if you're a Graf Spee fan, this might be for you. This might be the United States Navy version of it. It's kind of a cool looking ship too. So while we do get a lot of paper ships in this game, this paper ship was actually rooted in history and it almost became a ship. So I guess this makes it a semi-paper ship. If it weren't for a couple things happening, the ship might have really been created in real life. But instead, 2 of these that were laid down were turned into aircraft carriers, and the rest of them were scrapped in their entirety. So, that's a little background on the Constellation that we see in-game, and the actual Constellation that existed in real life, the non-aircraft carrier one, the non-Kitty Hawk, but the sloop of war Constellation, which is, again, a really, really cool ship, and I highly recommend you going out and checking it out if you get a chance to do that. I do want to touch on another couple things, though. The dev blog was released last week, and there are some significant balance changes that are coming to the game that are being tested right now. Worthy of note, a lot of them happening to German destroyers, which I think a lot of people feel need a lot of work. Many people aren't happy with the split or this line right now, so it's worth noting that the Tier 8 Gustav Julius Merker, the detectability range from the ship is being reduced to 8 kilometers, down from 8.2. Whether that'll help it overall, maybe a little bit. Same thing with the Felix Schultz. Detectability is being reduced from 8.3 to 8.1. So that might help as well if you're finding yourself struggling in these ships. But again, I don't know that 0.2 kilometers is going to cause a significant difference. And oh, there's a nice 2 Citadel volley right there, 31,000 damage. He's not going to be able to finish it off, though, because look at all these torps headed this way. That's a lot of torpedoes. Liebrecht Moss, main battery reload time increased from 4 to 4.2 seconds. The guns, I guess they found, were just a little too powerful at that reload. Interesting buff coming here. The Tier 8 Finyang, main battery reload, is being decreased from 4.9 to 4.7 seconds. And Quincy is going to try and take some shots at this destroyer, it looks like. He's up to 76,000 damage. Very, very close round right now. They look like they have the caps right now, but they are starting to bleed ships, unfortunately. Another interesting buff right now, the Tier 6 Queen Elizabeth, 180-degree turn time has been reduced from 72 seconds to 54 seconds. So that's a pretty big change right there. Interesting change, since, you know, that and the next ship I'm going to mention have been out for quite a while. It's not like they're new ships at all. So nice to see Wargaming going back to some older ships and trying to make a difference on them. And, oh, he just missed that broadside. I think this ship turned just at the last second, avoiding some massive citadels, which, again, the Constellation can do with its guns. It's got very nice guns that do hit hard. The Monarch, the Tier 8 Monarch, main battery firing range has been increased from 16.5 to 17 kilometers, so you get an extra half kilometer of range on the Monarch, which is It's not a huge buff, but it's a decent buff nonetheless. And you can see right here, and there's a nice little devastating strike. 2 citadels. Well done, Quincy. Well done in your Constellation. Showcasing the torpedoes right here. The battleship is just in range of its 9.2 9.2, I think it is, kilometer torpedoes, the sea mines. So he's going to fire those off, hoping that the battleship just turns and comes back towards him, but it's not going to. Some other changes to some older ships, Leander and Fiji. Main battery reload time has been increased from 7.7 to 8 seconds because those ships, Leander is just such a powerful ship, causes so much damage. They are fast firing, so I guess that's why they've done that. Same with the Edinburgh. The main battery reload has been increased from 7.5 to 7.7 seconds. So it would appear that British cruisers are getting somewhat of a nerf. Maybe not a huge nerf, but a nerf nonetheless. The Tier 7 Jervis, another British ship, destroyer, detectability range by sea has been increased from 7.2 to 7.3 kilometers. So the interesting thing about that is, where do they come up with that? Or how does Wargaming come up with that? I mean, we're talking 0.1 kilometers right here, 7.2 to 7.3. Was its detectability really that good that it warrants a 0.1 increase? Is that going to make such a huge difference? I don't know. And again, this might just be an example of spreadsheet-driven type of things. Very interesting, though. And this destroyer is popping out of nowhere, and you're going to get a look at the secondaries here and how, a German battleship probably would have been able to take this destroyer out with the secondaries. Hell, a German aircraft carrier probably would have been able to, but those rounds are going to overpen, and he's having a little bit of trouble with this destroyer, so he's going to, I'm not calling those panic torps, but he's going to fire those torps off in hopes of taking it out. Baltimore, your surveillance radar consumable is being reduced from 30 to 27 seconds. I guess they felt that 30 seconds is just a little too long for most destroyers, and I think destroyers will be a little happy with that, 3-second reprieve right there. I do know that it does seem like U.S. radar does last a very long time. Shore's main battery firing range has been increased from 15.2 to 15.7 kilometers. And Andrea Doria, you're going to see your shell damage for your SAP increase from 9,900 to 10,250. So some newer ships getting a little buff, and some older ships getting a buff as well with the Shores. Interesting. Again, it's nice seeing them go back and dealing with older ships, trying to get them up to date, since a lot of ships do get power crept. The round is ending right here. A good showcase of the abilities of the Constellations, and not a bad first round either right here. Not a bad first round at all, Quincy. I do appreciate it. He's not going to get the win here. Still had a good round, though. A decent round. I think anyone taking a ship out for the first time would be pleased with this type of round and the damage that he did. Look at those citadels. 6 citadels, not that bad. So Constellation can put in some work. It's a fun ship, and I think it will appeal to a lot of different players out there just on account of its speed and everything else. That's the last ship he's going to take out. This round's going to end here fairly quick, though. He's just kind of outclassed and outmatched, 1v3. Once again, Quincy, thanks for the video. If you all have some, send it my way. Willing to take a work, but this is your Constellation. Take a look at it. Might be up your alley. Very much the only USN pocket battleship in the game, if that's what you want to call it. Guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for coming out. Take it easy, and I will catch you all later. Zoop out.